Greetings everyone. This is Dr. Shishwini here, presenting on functions of management, under which the contents which I'm going to cover is planning, organization, directing, controlling, decision making. Today I'll be speaking on planning, its definition, features, nature, importance, types, steps in planning, planning tools and techniques, essentials of good plan. Definition and meaning of planning. As Henry Fayol says, the plan of action is at one and at the same time the result envisaged, the line of action to be followed, the stages to go through, and the methods to use. Further, few very well known authors have written planning is an intellectual process, the conscious determination of courses of action, the basing of decisions on purpose, facts, and considered estimates. Planning is a preparatory step for action. It means systematized pre thinking for determining a course of action to achieve some desired result. Nature and characteristics of planning. Under the characteristics of planning, the first thing we need to understand the basic nature is planning is the main or primary function. Based on the planning, the forecasting can be done. And it is a universal function which is applicable to every single topic. It is purposeful, based on the purpose, based on aim. It is an interdependent activity. It's not independent on different aspects, but it is an interdependent activity. It's an intellectual process. We need to understand the cognitive sense of how one process can be connected to each other. It is futuristic in sense because there is a forecasting being done. Yes, it is a cyclical and a continuous process. There is a time bound for every plan. There is a benchmarking which is being done for every plan. And then we need to understand, we need to have a broader than decision making. It is just not the end, it is a dynamic process. Unity, all together working on a particular plan helps it to be implemented. It is analytical in nature, it is step by step process. There are a lot of composition which are together as a components which in turn makes planning essential. Importance of planning. Why planning is important? Let's understand. Planning is important because it increases the efficiency of an individual and organization or an institution. It reduces the business related risks, so take a calculated risk. It facilitates proper coordination. So, yes, it is an interdependent activity. It aids in organizing every single activity day to day, gives right direction. Yes, there's no heavy in it, keeps good control, helps to achieve objectives, motivates the personal, encourages creativity and innovation, helps in decision making. Steps in planning. There are various steps for planning process. The first one is perception of opportunities. Ample of opportunities which are available in the market need to be seen and considered and need to be understood according to the point of view based on society. Establishment of objectives. As an opportunity is being identified, jot down the objectives. Where exactly the planning has to be done, that is where the planning premises has to be decided. Do we have the alternatives for the planning? Identify it. And basically then evaluate every single alternative. Choose that one alternative which is going to give you that ambition and the objectives to be fulfilled. Formulate that particular supporting plan and sequence every single activity in such a way the planning process works cyclical way with no interference. Elements of planning. Under elements of planning, what are those basic elements which are required for the planning process? First one is mission statement of an organization and the vision, the goals of an organization to reach those mission and vision statement, policies being drafted to attain to the organization objectives, the process which is being jotted for planning activity, projects which have been taken over to reach those goals, budget to adhere to the policies, and strategies adopted to make sure the planning process works appropriately. Basic principles of planning, under which let's start with first one, commitment. Planning cannot be implemented if there's no commitment from the employees of the organization, or it could be management, or it could be a top hierarchy. Second, limiting factor. Planning actually gives the barricade to work within the frame. Third, reflective thinking. Planning helps to understand where we stand in the organization. Fourth, flexibility. Planning also helps us to understand the alternative course of action. Fifth, contribution to enterprise objective. It is important when it comes to planning, or based on the objectives of the organization, the planning has to be jotted. Sixth, efficiency. Planning helps us to understand the efficiency of the organization or the efficiency of an individual as well. Seventh, selection of alternatives. Selecting the right plan helps us to reach the organization goals. Eighth, planning premises. The place we plan is very important. Ninth, timing and sequence of operations. Planning has to be done that insequentially every single thing is supposed to take its own action based on the time. 10th, securing participation. Every employee is very valuable to implement the plan. 11th, persuasiveness. Now, when it comes to persuasiveness, it's important to understand the eye of an objective, and also every individual in the organization need to see the same way the objectives which are being jotted down. Strategic planning, 12th. Now, to reach the top hierarchy and the top hierarchical management policies and strategies and implementations, all works on strategic planning. 13th, innovation is a change for plan. 14th, follow up. Implement it, follow up, and see how it can be done further differently. Planning tools and techniques. Under planning tools and techniques, first one is forecasting. Attempts to predict the future. Qualitative forecasting uses expert opinions. Qualitative forecasting uses mathematical models and statistical analysis of historical data and surveys. Contingency planning. Identifying alternatives, course of action to take when things go wrong. Contingency plan anticipates changing condition. Contingency plan contain trigger points. Next, scenario planning, a long-term version of contingency planning, identifying alternative future scenarios. Plans made for each future scenario increases organization's flexibility and preparation for future shocks. Benchmarking, use of external and internal comparisons to plan for future improvements. Adopting best practices, things people and organization do that lead to superior performance. Staff planners assist in all steps of planning process. Types of plans. There are various types of plans: long-term plans and short-term plans. Under that, strategic plans set broad, which is comprehensive, and it is for the long-term action direction for the entire organization. Vision clarifies the purpose of the organization and what it hopes to be in the future. Tactical plan helps to implement all or parts of strategic plan. Functional plans, it indicates how different operations within the organization will help accomplish the overall strategy. Production plans, financial plans, facilities plans, logistic plans, marketing plans, human resource plans. Operational plans, it identifies the short-term activities to implement strategic plans. Policies are standing plans that communicate guidelines for decisions. Procedures are rules that describe actions to be taken in specific situations. Budgets are the plans that commit resources to projects or activities. Zero based budgets allocate resources as if each budget were brand new. Thank you so much for listening to me patiently. Kindly like, share, and subscribe.